So I get accused from time to time. People say, "Oh, Jaffe, you're salty on Sony," blah blah blah, and I've always been like, "No, Sony's always treated me great. I loved my time there. I love so many of the people who were there. Some of them are still there at the Sony offices. Think they're wonderful people. I'm not salty about my time there or about how I left. But I did realize, and it took this story, this Martha is Dead, to make me realize that there is a bit of animosity I hold towards Sony, but it has nothing to do with maybe what some of you guys and ladies think. Let's jump into what this is about. Martha is Dead. If you watched the stream last week on Friday, we talked about this was on the top 10. I think it was a top 10 list from Game Informer of their most anticipated horror games. It's been on my radar. I didn't get around to playing the. I didn't get around to playing the demo that was like a summer demo a while ago, and it's been pulled since then. But it looks great. It's a horror game, and it's not just a horror game, but it's a horror game set during World War II, which I think is a very rarely touched upon subgenre. Every now and then you'll get one, like there was one J.J. Abrams did. It was like horror, but it was action horror where the guys fought zombies behind the lines and stuff. But this feels much more sinister and tied into something that happened in the war. I mean, I don't know if that's the story, but that's kind of what it seems like. There's something, clearly relevant to putting it in World War II. Okay, so this is it. Martha's Dead. It's supposed to come. It is coming out. I think the 24th, and the news came out today that there's going to be the company who makes this the publisher's called Wired. They're basically saying, hey man, we're going to delay the physical release of this on PlayStation 4 and 5 because Sony has asked for some changes. Their exact wordage was interesting, and it'll make sense in a second. But this is what they released. I'm not reading you the whole thing. What am I, a fucking teacher? Read your goddamn self. The point, though, what if somebody came to this channel and they thought I was being serious? Like, he's mean. Listen, shh. It says PlayStation. I'm sorry, I gotta find it now. Okay, here it is. The gist of it is they have to make some things that are no longer playable that are playable in the other versions, is what it sounds like. It is with regret that we have had to modify the experience on PS5 and PS4 with some elements no longer playable. Now, I don't know if this is the element or not, but this guy tweeted out, there's a scene where you cut your dead baby's sister, which I assume that's your daughter. It took me 5 seconds. Wait, dead babies. So it's you. I don't understand who it is. It's some baby. Somebody gets her face cut off and you wear it. It's literally a mini game of sawing her face off and then wearing it. And this guy, Rango Fett, says, this is why I can't be mad at Sony. I'm mad at the developers. This is sadistic as fuck. And I'm like, okay, so that's kind of where we're at right now. So it'll be out uncensored on on Xbox and on PC. It'll be censored and digital for PlayStation 4 and 5, but it'll be censored in physical maybe weeks or a couple of months after the original scheduled release that everyone else is getting digital. Okay, that makes sense, right? I hope. And nobody really knows. The Wired is clearly, if you read their press release, they're upset, they're annoyed, as they should be. They're having to spend extra money to stay in production on this thing. And no one knows exactly if, for example, the baby cutting face scene is why. Clearly, it's interactive here. It's a mini game, and these guys are saying that Sony basically, we had to make some elements no longer playable, so maybe it's still in there, but it was a bridge too far for Sony to cut. To actually do the mini game. I don't know. We don't know. We may never know. Okay, but all the articles I'm reading suggest that my reading of this is correct, which is, it sounds like Sony made a last minute decision. This is from Game Rant. That it's unclear what made them decide the horror game needed to be censored with just weeks left. Perhaps it underestimated how impactful the now censored scenes would be in motion, or I guess in interactivity. So we're left, to guess a little bit on what the cause of this was. But it does seem wins out if we assume Sony was censoring some of this stuff because they didn't find it appropriate. Okay, that's the setup. So this is, look, first off, let me preface it. Sony has a right to do whatever the fuck they want. They have a right not to publish the game. They have a right to say, we'll publish it, but I want it to be an E for everybody title. They are a private company. I support their right to make business decisions that they feel are best for their customers, which are ultimately best for them. God be with them, okay? And I'm certainly glad I have a PC and I have an Xbox because I've been looking forward to this game. I don't know if it's going to be any good. It could be a shit game, but it looks cool. It at least has a great, idea and presentation behind it. So I love the genre. So I know I'm day one unless the reviews are terrible. But I want to talk about the Sony part because it does make me think of a couple of things. The first thing is, and gets to why I think I am a little salty at Sony, but not, like I said, for the reasons that you guys think or accuse me of sometimes. It's got nothing to do with how I left Sony, which was totally amicable, or anything like that. And they have a right to change. I haven't been a Sony employee for a decade, I think, at this point. They have a right to change, do whatever the fuck they want. If you don't change, you die. I'm not suggesting that Sony stays stratified who they were when I was there. But there was something about that company that was more punk and more rock and roll at the beginning. And certainly after the debacle of PS3, the PS4 seemed to be sort of a beacon of not just indie games, but sort of a real money where your mouth is moment about the games being art and the medium being artistic and an art form. Well, now they're the big kids on the block again, and it's just gross to me. Not their games. I spent all day playing Bloodborne. It's one of my favorite games of all time now on my PlayStation 5. Love my PlayStation 5. But there's just a gross sense about them as a company. It's so PR heavy now. It's a bunch of old, it feels like, now Jim Ryan's only 2 years older than me, but and I don't know whose decision this was. Jim Ryan probably knows what the fuck is going on. He's busy with bigger fish. But it just feels like this just very old school way of looking at video games. And it's like, oh, well, we could have some parents complain about this. Let's have them censor it. And that, sure, it's your company. You can do whatever the fuck you want. But it's hypocritical. You don't get to fucking stand there and not be called out if you're going to stand there on your soapbox, in this case, Jim Ryan, and talk about how games are an art form and we're storytellers and this is some of the best storytelling on the planet through games. And then stuff that is you would probably be okay seeing in a fucking CW horror show, let alone a fucking R movie that Sony would release, maybe a PG-13 movie Sony would release. Oh, we can't have that. Okay, so I get a little salty because the hypocritical nature of Sony, which was one of the first companies to raise that flag that this medium is artistic and it can express ideas and emotions and philosophies of the people who are creating these games. And now here they are. Well, now we're number one again. We're rich. We want our bonuses. We don't want any bad PR. Okay, just fuck off. You have a right to do it, but stop. You don't get to earn, not that you care, and you shouldn't care, but you don't get my fucking respect. You don't get my fucking respect if on one hand you're going to sit there and talk about how much of an art form this is and shit all over the people who actually believed it, who did used to run the company. And at the exact same time allow this to be censored because that's a bridge too far. You're a hypocrite. That's A. B, that's the second thing is, it's not just hypocritical. And it's also not just bad PR, by the way. A lot of people have talked about the anime quote censoring that Sony does with some of the anime stuff that looks a little scandalous and frankly kind of pedophilic, if that's a word. That's a very different thing to me because ultimately you're talking about Sony going, look, we don't want to put things on our system that very clearly to most people look like pedophilia. You can argue it's not, fine. And I get that in some cases it's not, but it fucking looks that way. And the games don't sell enough that the PR headache would be too much of a detriment to the success of the company. See that shit blasted all over Fox News and One America and right-wing talk radio. Come on. That makes sense. But the PR of this reads different. The PR of this feels like most people can get behind the pedophile thing. It's like, yeah, that's bad, man. Come on. Put it on the PC if you want, but it doesn't belong on a console like this. I mean, agree or disagree, I think people can understand where they're coming from. But this at a PR level, I don't think this is going to hurt them in the short term, but it's just more of that stodgy guys who came up making video games and selling video games in boxes, at retail, and had relationships at Toys R Us and all that bullshit. That's over, man. Those days are gone. And it allows Xbox, frankly, to look, whether Xbox is going to succeed or not, who the fuck knows, but it allows Xbox to look at a PR level like the cooler kid on the on the playground, whatever. Just like when Sony with Shu and Adam Boyes did the trading of the PlayStation, this is just one more thing where Xbox feels much more forward thinking and much more walking the walk. Now, again, sometimes that's what you do when you're in second or third place. You have to differentiate. I'm not saying they're saints and Sony's evil, but I am saying that it's a bad look for Sony, and I frankly, I hope it hurts them a little bit. I don't want to see Sony as a brand, PlayStation as a brand get hurt. But there needs to be a little backlash from this to the point that they maybe think about this a little bit more. You guys Sony puts out movies and music, and they label them so families know what they're getting into. This is ridiculous. It's an M-rated game. It's a horror game. It's got the ESRB talking about what it is all over the fucking back of the box. We can't have it. Fuck off. See how mad I am. So it's hypocritical. It's bad PR. And it's just, I don't know. It's just bad. It pisses me off. This reminds me of all the shit growing up in Alabama when it was all just like, oh, that movie, let's censor it. Well, have you seen it? No, but, so fuck off. We were talking about the Super Bowl, the family the other day, the halftime show, and we YouTubed the Janet Jackson Nipplegate with Justin Timberlake. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it. And we were all just like, can you believe people got upset because they saw a goddamn grown woman's nipple for barely half a second, and you couldn't even see it? It's that kind of shit, this Martha is Dead censorship, that just pisses me off. It's just like, really, Sony, fucking act as you say you are. Act as a champion of the medium. And then people talk about, well, what about Neil Druckmann? He gets to do The Last of Us and all, Again, people having sex definitely makes a lot more sense than allowing that to be expressed through your medium on your console than cutting off a baby's face and wearing it. I get that, okay? But Last of Us was pretty fucking violent. And even if it wasn't, even if this, as long as the ESRB puts an M on it, I don't know. I just think it definitely, that's why I'm salty. Nothing to do with my own personal experience, other than I remember when they weren't this cowardly. I remember when they weren't this hold on to the lead, hold on to our bonuses, hold on to our money at all costs. I'm not saying the company was run by, pie in the sky dreamers that didn't have deep understanding of business. Of course not. And marketing, of course not. But this just feels like that's almost just that's an act you guys put on now, Sony. You guys are you just seem old fucking fashioned. You seem like an old fucking, you don't seem punk rock anymore, and it's not a good look, and I don't like it. I don't like it a bit. I'll be playing Martha's Dead on Xbox or PC, probably Xbox. So fuck you, Sony. Get your shit together. Get some fucking Eye of the Tiger back, you guys. You guys. Come on, man. Have a good weekend. See you Monday. Gavin and Games starts again Monday, 5 o'clock. See you soon, fellas. Bye.